Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for coming along today. So it's a panel session to hopefully deal with quite a hot topic right now in England, biodiversity net gain. And the aim of this panel session today is to give you an insight into the journey that organisations are going through in England, the challenges that they're facing, how they're dealing with those challenges, but also how geospatial is core to that process. So first of all, I'd actually like a show of hands, please, for those people who know what biodiversity net gain is. Excellent, okay. I would say about 50% plus. And how many are actively going through the BNG process right now? Okay, a smaller number, but still a good number in the audience. For those that are not familiar with biodiversity net gain, it's new legislation and a process brought in February this year by the government for all new land development in England, with developers creating or enhancing habitats in order to have at least 10% biodiversity net gain over time. So why is this important? Well, Natural England had a report stating that since 1970, on average, 19% of UK species have declined. 19%. And 1 in 6 species are threatened with extinction. So the intent behind BNG is sound. We want to halt biodiversity decline, if not reverse it. So today we are going to take you on a journey, and there's a lot to the process. At a high level, you have the landowner or developer looking to do something with land and apply for that. You have the BNG expert providing that ecological and ideally geospatial expertise into that process. And then you have the authority, the local planning authorities, who have to receive, assess, and monitor that BNG over time. So first of all, I'm going to turn to the landowner, and today we have with us Anglian Water. So Anglian Water is the largest water and water recycling organisation in England and Wales, owning some, as you saw earlier, 7,000 hectares of land, and serving some 7 million people in the east of England and Hartlepool. Now today we have Emily Dimsey with us, the Biodiversity Manager at Anglian Water. Welcome, Emily.
Afternoon, Murray.
Yeah, thank you for coming along today. So I guess the first question we have for you is, how have Anglian prepared for BNG?
So we're really committed to delivering a flourishing environment, and that's for our customers and nature. So back in 2020, we actually embarked on delivering a voluntary biodiversity net gain commitment. So what this has meant is that we're delivering 10% net gain against the measured losses of habitat on Anglian Water-owned land. Now, this is primarily permitted development work, so as a water company, a lot of our development comes under permitted development, but we've also been delivering it on our land management activities as well, so where we're enhancing land for nature, we're ensuring that we're going above and beyond that 10%. And I guess you could say this has really helped us to prepare, as you were saying, for the statutory BNG, because it's really highlighted sort of the complexities and challenges with delivering biodiversity net gain on land, especially operational land, but also highlighted some great opportunities for us as a business to deliver for biodiversity.
Okay. So lots of preparation been done there at Anglian Water. But what is the process and how does it work?
So for us, we started off with a spreadsheet, and we quickly realised that it wasn't a robust or effective way of managing biodiversity net gain information, specifically reporting on our biodiversity net gain voluntary commitment. It was very time-consuming to extract stuff from reports. In terms of the quality of the data as well, which was sort of prone to error. And it wasn't even holding all of the biodiversity information we wanted to be able to understand and interpret to then put into place on the ground. So it just wasn't fit for purpose. So around just over a year ago, we embarked on developing Anglian Water's biodiversity net gain tool. And this has really been a collaborative process between Anglian Water's biodiversity team, our great asset intelligence team within the business, and also our GIS partners in our capital schemes. So we teamed up with Esri. Carmel has been fantastic on the job to create this product. And I guess for us, in terms of the product itself, it's been a game changer, you could say. It's been built in Esri suite. It's hosted in ArcGIS Online, and then we also have a Power BI reporting element as well. So it's easy for those within the business to surface our BNG data sort of live.
Okay, so a lot of change,
Yes,
a lot of change in the organisation, which is always challenging, but you seem to have grasped that and dealt with it well. What benefits have you gained from that change in the organisation?
So many benefits. But if I was just to pull out a few of them, I guess for us it would be that we now have a single point of truth for our Biodiversity Net Gain data. We're able to effectively report against our voluntary BNG commitment, statutory BNG commitment, and we also have an upcoming Ofwat biodiversity performance commitment, which uses the DEFRA metric. So it's fantastic in that sense that we have that confidence in our reporting, which is so key. And that information then feeds up to our management board internally, but also we can surface that data externally to stakeholders as well. Secondly, just being able to collect biodiversity information in the field is amazing. So our ecologists are able to go out on site, collect the required habitat and further biodiversity information. We're able to log land management data in the tool as well. So again, game-changing for us. And then finally, I guess you could say developing this tool has enabled us to educate the business as well on biodiversity net gain and its importance, which has been really essential currently, and going forward, it's going to be so key to the effective delivery of BNG on our sites.
Okay, thank you, Emily. So I guess really very proactive, comprehensive with the kind of breadth of change that's been going on, but also really quite commendable. You've really approached it head on from prior to it starting. So yeah, an excellent approach, and thank you very much, Emily, for sharing that with us today. So thank you.
Thank you.
So we've talked about the landowner. Then you've got some landowners who maybe don't have the in-house skills for BNG. They need some support. So you turn to the BNG experts who have got that kind of ecological and geospatial skills. And today we've also have with us Andy Wilkins, Senior GS Consultant at Mott MacDonald. And Mott MacDonald are a global engineering, management and development consultancy who are helping their customers in the UK through this BNG process. So Andy, welcome.
Good afternoon.
So Andy, same kind of question. How have Mott prepared for biodiversity net gain?
So our main priority when faced with a change such as the change to BNG is proactivity. So we need to understand and stay on top of the legislation that's coming in so that we can use that and also pass that information on to our clients. Now, the way we did that is twofold. Firstly, we needed to make sure that we were attracting the talent, those BNG specialists that understood the changes coming in. And then secondly, we needed to make sure that we spread that information throughout our business. So we need to make sure that everyone has some understanding of what BNG is going to, or what the process is going to mean for them. And the way we did that was through a series of 19 internal lectures that we called a countdown to BNG.
Cool. So actually, kind of similar theme here going on with Anglian Water, in that preparation, education is really key to the organisation. I guess once you've done that part of it, what changes did you have to put in place then to adopt BNG as a process?
Yes, well, our surveyors are already they're already good at undertaking phase 1 habitat surveys, which were the survey type before the BNG regulations came in. However, with the new BNG regulations, we needed a more technically advanced survey type, which is called UK Habitat Classification Survey. So with this and the additional BNG regulations, there was an awful lot to learn. We needed to upskill our people. And as a GIS consultant myself, we needed to start planning and creating the tools to help the surveyors on their journey. Okay,
so you talked a lot about in-house, upskilling your own organisation and understanding BNG, but also you're a consultancy firm, so your customers, how have you helped them also upskill in this process?
Yeah, so whilst we were making the internal changes, our nature services team were engaging with local planning authorities and stakeholders. We needed to understand how the changes would affect them, and then how we can use this and ultimately then pass information on to them. That knowledge did go both ways. So as I say, we passed that information directly on to our customers, and this actually helped us win work off the end of it. Finally, we then we pulled all the information together that we'd learned to start creating the tools and to deliver for our customers.
Okay, so you mentioned tools there. What have you developed to try and help you with this process?
So to answer that, let me take you through a BNG analysis on a customer's site. So on a customer's site, when you're doing a BNG assessment, you need to understand the habitats that are on that site, and you need to understand the condition of those habitats. Two things are really, really important when you do that. Firstly, efficiency, and secondly, accuracy. So you need to keep the costs low, both for us as the consultant and also the client, whilst maintaining the accuracy that Mott MacDonald customers have come to love. So the way we did that was using ArcGIS Suite, Esri's advanced data collection tool, to make an app that we've called Shrub. Now this uses spatial topology rules and arcade scripting to mitigate any issues that might come up in the data collection phase.
Okay, so accuracy is really key to get good quality data coming in. You also mentioned efficiency, so what efficiency savings have been gained by adopting this new tool?
So the main thing is we save time. We save an awful lot of time. So a condition assessment, it's a series of 10 or so questions that the surveyor has to undertake in the field while they're to ascertain what the condition of that habitat is. This is normally undertaken on a spreadsheet at the same time or in parallel as they're undertaking the field assessment. However, we brought that into our tool along with the automated scoring system as well. This saves them days or even weeks of time in processing, depending on the size of the site. We then use ArcGIS toolboxes to undertake data QA or QC, and then we have a toolbox to transpose that data directly into DEFRA's metric spreadsheet. Again, taking the risk of any human error away and saving time. This can also be rerun as its toolbox. Finally, we've got an advanced dashboard on Mott MacDonald's Moata platform, which allows the customer to delve deeper into their site's BNG metrics and also have an overview of all of the sites in their portfolio. Finally, they can use this to keep track of their BNG units and prepare standardized and accurate data for reports for the authorities.
Okay. So Mott MacDonald have taken quite a professional approach to try and be as efficient, as effective as you can for their customers. So, yeah, Andy, thank you very much for coming along today. Now, moving on to the next, we've talked about the landowner who's developing the land and creating an application, the BNG expert to support them. But now look to the organisations on the front line, policing BNG and having to manage that process. And today we have Chris Cole from the East Riding of Yorkshire Council. Chris is a Senior Planning Policy Officer. Hi, Chris.
Yep. Good afternoon.
East Riding of Yorkshire Council is a unitary authority covering some 930 square miles, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining us, Chris. And I guess first question for you is, what challenges has the council faced with BNG?
Firstly, East Riding of Yorkshire Council are committed in doing its part to resolve the environmental crisis. Like all local authorities, we're working hard to find the best solutions for our service users and officers to help implement Biodiversity Net Gain. It is presenting us with many challenges. One of the biggest is managing the level of data it generates. Applicants are now required to tell us about every square metre of habitat on their site and then demonstrate to us in detail how they're going to increase that by 10%. And having that data in a standardised format would really help us streamline the assessment process. And finding a way to show that data on a map, not just in a PDF or in a spreadsheet, is really important to us too. Because ultimately, the council need clear and sound evidence to help inform decisions that make the most sustainable use of land.
Okay. So you've gone through the challenges, and thanks for sharing those. What is the scale of that challenge to the council?
The scale and the volume of the workload generated by B&G is significant. Let me explain. Planning officers are required to consider planning applications within a strict time frame, which is it's already challenging, and now they've got B&G added into the mix. At East Riding, we consider 2,500 planning-related applications each year, 1,000 of which now require to consider the 10% biodiversity net gain. That's 150 major applications and 850 smaller sites applications. We only have 40 planning officers at East Riding, and even worse, we've only got 3 ecologists who have to deal with the existing application process. And now they've got B&G added to their workload, and there's no more hours in the day for them. So it goes without saying, our officers need help to make quick and effective evidence-based decisions.
Okay. The scale is large. It's a challenge. How are you adopting the B&G process?
So we rely heavily on survey data submitted with planning applications. And for us, having a better understanding, a better picture of our local habitat would really help. So we could make better use of, or could make use of existing data sets, like the National Tree Map or data from our local ecological data centres to help improve that picture. But we'd like to explore making better use of data capture technology. Perhaps we could use AI tools or geo-AI tools to identify specific habitat types from LiDAR data or high-resolution photography to help improve that picture. And it would all go towards creating a detailed digital habitat map for our whole area. We'd still want to validate that map with occasional survey data to improve confidence or ensure confidence. But ultimately, if we can increase the evidence and the confidence in what habitat is where, we can just become way more efficient. We can undertake more desk-based validation, and we can quickly identify sites that need greater scrutiny.
Okay. So just taking what you said there, one of the key messages I think you're saying is so a standardized authority-wide habitat data set is going to be key to this process for you?
Yeah, I think, yeah, that's what I said, but yeah, absolutely, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, okay. And data management, obviously, vast quantities of data. What's your plan for handling that?
Yeah, so we're currently working to record on a map what habitat types are being generated by B&G. And this would allow our officers to quickly validate planning applications. We could identify if there are any constraints nearby. We could easily report on any gains or losses in habitat types. We can monitor on how habitats are maturing over time and quickly see where enforcement action is required.
Okay. So what tools do you have in place for enabling that?
So the majority of our applicants won't have access to GIS applications. So we're working to create an intuitive online mapping tool that our applicants can use to draw and calculate their biodiversity net gain. The tool needs corrective point entry to reduce the errors at input. It needs to be based on Natural England's B&G metric. And hopefully it'll include our new baseline habitat map so we can allow for quick validation. But there really are many tools that we could use, yeah.
Okay, so tough challenge for you. In one sentence, how would you describe where you are and the challenge you're facing?
So we're working to create a reliable, live or living habitat map with the tools our applicants can use to draw, calculate and demonstrate their biodiversity net gain.
Okay. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
And I guess what we're hearing is the challenge East Riding of Yorkshire Council are facing, but also that'll be applicable to all local planning authorities. But what I also like to hear is the vision that East Riding of Council East Riding of Yorkshire Council have, and I'm sure they'll rise to it. So thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
So that's just coming to the end of it. It is a short panel session. I'd like to thank Emily, Andy, and Chris for coming along today. But one thing I would like to say is one recurring theme through all of this discussion really is around geospatial, how that's key to the process. Chris, you mentioned 1,000 applications per year. Now, BNG, for those who know about it, you're monitoring it for 30 years. If you get 1,000 per year and you start multiplying that up for many years thereafter, that's a lot of applications and a lot of sites. So knowing where that's occurring really is quite important. Now, we are going to have questions, not now, we're going to have to go into the next session, but at the end of the next session before the break, the panelist and myself will be at the bottom of the stage for any questions you may have. But thank you for coming along. And one last just quick plug, which I don't think is up there yet, Charlotte. We've got a natural capital webinar on the 6th of June. And there's a QR code up there where you can come along, well, you can join that and listen more about what we're doing with natural capital itself. I'm going to be joined by NHS Scotland and Temple Group. So, yeah, thanks. So, thank you, everyone, and thank you, panelists.